When Formula One first visited the Hungaroring in 1986, it was the first Grand Prix held behind the Iron Curtain. But before the curtain falls on Simsport Racing's fifth season of the GT4s, we go racing here tonight at Budapest for the penultimate race of the season, the 4.381 kilometre or 2.7 mile circuit in old money. Has a notorious history for being difficult to overtake. Bernie Ecclestone wanted a street race in Hungary, but instead got a circuit that is often mentioned in the same breath as Monaco. But as we've seen so many times before, this fantastic circuit lends itself to any kind of racing. GT4s is on the menu tonight, and I'm joined in the commentary box by my good friend, partner in crime, and globe-trotter, it seems at the moment, or at least in the virtual world, David Wrestle. Now, David, heading into the penultimate round, we've been to Monza, we've been to Suzuka. It's Hungary this time, and it's certainly a unique circuit.
Yeah, good evening, Tim, and good evening to everyone watching the stream. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks very much for stopping by. Yeah, it's a unique one, like you say. It's going to be interesting to see how the overtaking goes. We've been keeping an eye on the practice times up until the race is up until the lights go green in just over 5 or 6 minutes' time. And yeah, they're very, very close. And like I say, with these GT4s, not the biggest cars on the grid at the moment. So yeah, it should be interesting. I think we'll see a lot of action throughout the 45-minute race we've got ready for everyone this evening.
Well, last time out at Suzuka, it was Luka Berk who benefited from a reverse grid pole position to take victory. The Season 4 champion leads the way in the points. It was Johannes Weiss who took his maiden podium in the season, with Matt Richards in third, those two spending the entirety of the race exchanging blows. Then Benjamin Tusting, who's a championship challenger in the Mob 7 eSports McLaren, headed up Yannick Muller, Michael O'Brien, who is second place in the standings at the moment, with Will Dendy 7th, Regan Mitchell, Aidan Brown, Alex Buncombe rounding out your top 10, with the Rocket eSports driver serving a race ban. Then Aaron Walker in 11th, Chris Shaw 12th, Wagner Marquez, Philip Matzik battling it out in 13th and 14th, with Angus Martin bagging that 15th spot last time out at Suzuka, which will see him promoted to pole position this evening ahead of teammate Michael Haffenden in the 2HF Impala Racing Aston Martins. Then Donington Park race winner Aaron Martin Pilkington. A lot of work to do from 16th on the grid tonight, and looking forward to the race this evening. It's going to be an interesting one with the Aston Martin, then followed by two BMWs on the grid. And really Chris Shaw, who's going to be fourth in the Aston Martin, is going to be looking to resurrect his season to some extent. He's not been able to match the performances of his teammate Tusting, but looking at the grid and the order from last time out, really, David, Luka Berk, he didn't have it all his own way at Suzuka.
No, it wasn't the easiest one in the end, was it? And I think it's hard to avoid the incredible drift that he did through the first corner when he got tapped by Benjamin Weiss. But you can see it's benefited him massively. That see, it all goes back to Monza 2 weeks ago, where he battled from about 20th after a drive-through penalty up to 15th. Of course, got pole for Suzuka last week and then got the win, and that's done him absolutely fantastic favours in terms of the championship standings. You see, sitting top of the pile at the moment with Michael O'Brien 8 points back, then another 32 points back is Benjamin 𝗬𝗓, we mentioned before. He's really doing a fantastic job in that Mob 7. Zansho Esports McLaren 570S doing a brilliant job hauling that one around. And then you've got two 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗡𝗗𝗏 from 𝗦𝗔𝗟𝗦𝗢𝗡 and Matt Richards behind as well, who've been scoring really consistently over the last few weeks as well. And of course, now Martin Pilkington, race winner at Donington a few weeks back, he'll be looking to improve on that as well. Of course, had a chance to fight his way up the field last week, but I think he got tangled up with, I think it was 𝗬𝗚𝗏𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗏𝗏 in one of the 𝗏𝗚𝗡𝗏 Motorsport 𝗦𝗡𝗔s as well. And then you've got Will Dendy, Regan Mitchell, Chris Shaw, Johannes Weiss rounding out the top 10. Aaron Walker, of course, had the win at Monza, quite a comfortable one, and he's looking pretty quick this evening, out in 11th. Jenson Button, who's unfortunately not with us this evening, but he was out obviously in Bahrain at the weekend, so we could probably let him off with that. Wagner Marquez, Yannick Moller, Stijn Paspont, Luke Rogers, Rene Butler, 𝗬𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗡𝗗𝗏, and Rich Pixley and Philip Matzik rounding out the top 10. But interestingly, Tim, like you're going back to the points on there, Rich Pixley currently top of the AM standings, but lost some ground to the likes of Jamie Peters-Ennis last week at a pretty good showing, and it's looking quite close in that AM category, isn't it?
Yeah, and just to throw some context on to how close the points battle really is, with Luka Berk leading the way by 8 points. It's 110 points for the victory, 111 if you bag yourself the fastest lap, so 8 points is really nothing in that. Zansho Simsport then leading the way with Mob 7 doing a really strong job in their first full race season. Butler Power Motorsport in the 𝗦𝗔𝗏𝗔𝗏𝗏, that's Aidan Bro and I believe Luke Rogers scoring points in the 𝗦𝗔𝗏𝗔𝗏𝗏. And Squadra Volante doing a great job in fourth. The two Maseratis, notoriously the car most difficult to handle out of all the GT4 beasts, and then the Butler Power Motorsport BMW team in fifth. And looking down the order, HF Impala Racing in ninth. Those guys very much happy to get themselves get some points on the board and get up and running, and a good chance to score some more points tonight with Angus Martin on pole position, being slightly under the weather, he said in the driver's chat, so we'll have to see how he fares. It's not the easiest of circuits to maintain focus anyway, let alone when you're not feeling the best. So we're here now, drivers are out on track at the moment. They will be lining up in their grid formation for a rolling start. And David, we've seen, you can see the track there actually in the shot. The run down towards turn one is one of the, well, it seems to go on forever. But like we say, can't win it in turn one, but you can certainly lose it. It's going to be an action point tonight.
Absolutely, Tim. Yeah, it's going to be one of the key overtaking points for sure. There is obviously quite a few other ones as well, but that's going to be the most common one. I think we'll see moves being done. And yeah, like you say, you can see if you go to the, if you want to look at the times, you go to pitwall.live and you can see them. You just need to find the Simsport Solutions server, but you can actually see at the moment before they get away. You can effectively understand where that start finish line is. And of course, the lights are going to go green when Angus Martin hits across that start finish line. So it's a big old run into turn one. The biggest benefit they've got is because this track has been modernised, like you say, it only opened in 1986, but it's been modernised since then, and you can see on the clips that we're running through that there's quite a lot of runoff area in a lot of the key overtaking spots. So whilst you will drop massively down the field, the good thing is you're not going to necessarily be dragging a load of rubbish around the track as you would do if we were back at Suzuka last week, where you've got all of that grass and gravel to bring you to the outside anyway. So it will be very important to keep it clean to turn one, but yeah, it's definitely going to be an action point, like you said, Tim.
A really nice shot here brought to you by our broadcast director, Steve Proudly at Simsport Solutions. We've sent him out on the SSR Segway. He's rolling down the middle of the grid. You can see the two lines of cars. He's absolutely flat out. I hear the wind rushing through whatever's left of the hair in his head. 5 miles an hour is certainly the fastest he's gone in a while. But there's Richard Pixley, our AM class leader at the moment. He's right down towards the back of the grid, but again, he just needs to score points, just needs to beat those around him in the AM class, and I'm sure he'll put one hand on the trophy tonight, and that's crucial, isn't it, David? Tonight is all about, to some extent, setting up the final race at Silverstone. Get yourself the best position on the grid, get yourself some fantastic points tonight, add to your score, and head into Silverstone in the best position possible to maybe challenge for the championship, or maybe just challenge those around you in the standings.
Oh, absolutely, Tim, 100%. And obviously, for those of you who are new, welcome along. If you've not seen the GT4s before, the big point around this series is that reverse grid. So no qualifying, apart from the first race of the season many, many weeks ago now at Oulton Park. And it is the top 15 only that get that reverse grid. So yeah, like you said, Angus Martin, of course, who finished 15th last time out at Suzuka, is of course on pole position, as you can see in that Aston Martin on the left-hand side of your picture. But yeah, Richard Pixley has got a bit of work to do, I would say, because although, I mean, if you look at all of them, obviously you've got Matsick, Shaw, Tusting is not technically classed as an AM. I just don't think he's updated the colour on it, so ignore the red on his number. But Johannes Weiss and Jamie Peterson is all above him in there, and Jamie's probably one of the closest ones, I would suggest, in that kind of championship battle, and he's in that prime position. If he has any of the couple of guys in front of them, and obviously we mentioned the Maserati, you've got 𝗖𝗏𝗡𝗡𝗏 just in front of him as well, notoriously difficult to handle, so he's got a really good outside chance of being able to get onto 50th position on the grid and really set himself up for a fantastic finale. And he's got every reason to have his eyes on the trophy as well. I don't think it's entirely out of his reach.
Well, Jamie Peters-Ennis picks up a class victory in the AM category last race at Suzuka, and I don't think he really knew that he did that. He's been really struggling with the McLaren. Cameron Fife on screen picking up the 5th place in the category last time out, and consistency he seems to be finding in this season with the Aston Martin. And there's a great look at your grid. Some final changes going on to the Ginetta of Matt Richards there on the right-hand side of your screen. He'll drop down off the invisible air jacks. There we go. He's happy with the car he's got underneath him at the moment. Luka Berk in behind. And last time out, we saw an interesting battle between Weiss and Richards, a BMW versus a Ginetta. We saw how the unique performance characteristics of these GT4s can play out on a track like Suzuka. But a circuit this evening, you've got to say, David, that the Ginettas, your Aidan Bros, who are in with a shot of an outside chance of the title if they can string together 2 good results. Matt Richards, of course, fighting for his own position in the championship. These guys in the Ginettas, and maybe the Alpine as well of Yannick Muller and Aaron Walker in the KTM, they've got to get a good result tonight at a circuit that might favour their cars, because when we go to Silverstone and the flat-out airfield in Northamptonshire, it's going to be a different beast to tame.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you'd have to say, if there's any tracks that we've been to so far, apart from potentially Oulton Park as well, we saw a lot of them did really well in that first race of the season as well. This is going to be one of those that is really going to play favour to those lighter cars, like say the Alpine and the Ginetta. I think we'll see. Obviously, we've got the BMWs, we've got the McLarens that have got that incredible top end speed, but there's not really a huge amount you can do with that. You've really only got the main straight that they've just come down at the moment. You see this lovely turn 1 camera, courtesy of Steve Proudley in the broadcast box. The moment you see a bit, you have to see 29 cars going into there in particular anger in a few minutes' time. But really, you've got the run down into turn 1, and then the straight between turns 3 and 4, where they're really the only chances you've got of really opening up the pedals and really going for it. So yeah, it's definitely a big one, and like you say, they need to get some points on the board and really try and push the championship to the final week next week.
As the drivers head round on this formation lap, Angus Martin doing his best to weave side to side to get temperature into those tyres of the Aston Martin Vantage number 863. We'll run through your order. It'll be Angus Martin, the driver on screen, leading away from pole position ahead of Philip Matsick in the 251 BMW. Then it's Chris Shaw and Aaron Walker who share the second row ahead of Aidan Bro and Regan Mitchell in 5th and 6th. Then it's Will Dendy and Michael O'Brien, current 2nd place in the championship, who will start 7th and 8th. Then Yannick Muller and Benjamin Tusting 9th and 10th. Matt Richards and Johannes Weiss, who, like we say, they had a big-time tussle last time out. Suzuka will be certainly looking to, seconds out, round 2, I'm sure of it, with Luka Berk 13th ahead of Michael Haffenden in 14th, and Aaron Martin Pilkington, Donington race winner, in 15th ahead of 𝗖𝗏𝗡𝗡𝗏𝗡 in the 444 Maserati, and Jamie Peters-Ennis in 17th ahead of 𝗬𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗡𝗗𝗏𝗔𝗥 Reese Wigging and René Butler. There we go, that's the one. Got my teeth in for that one.
Easy for you to say, Tim.
Yeah, easy for me to say. Yeah, René Butler round out the top 20 as they round this back section. Well, this track is compared to Monaco, sometimes known as the Monaco circuit without the buildings, and it's a twisty outfield section, and then drivers swing their way through the S's and back towards the stadium, and these long hairpins to round out the lap. This left hand seems to go on forever, and then maximising the exit out of the final corner, which is turn 14, is certainly a very technical end to the lap, if it wasn't a technical start and middle bit as well. Angus Martin then brings the grid to formation as they round that final corner and onto the start-finish straight. It's a long drag down towards turn 1, but there's not much time to get a move done through the rest of the lap, and there's not much time left to get your championship in order and challenge for the Season 5 GT4 Championship. As Angus Martin is about to take the green flag, and we go green at Hungary. Angus Martin leads away well, but it looks like 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗏𝗡𝗡𝗏 has got a great start alongside him, and in fact it's Chris Shaw who's challenging to the middle. They nearly go 3 wide on the run in towards turn 1. The field fan out, it's 4 wide towards the middle. A little bit of contact there with potentially 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗓𝗓 who's going through the middle of Aaron Walker and Angus Martin. A spinner in the background, that's the Aston Martin there. I'm not quite sure who that was. I think that was Simon Wilkes going backwards into turn 1. It looks like Shaw has jumped up the order. Angus Martin has slipped back. He's now in 5th. As Aaron Walker goes round the outside through turn 2 and 3. Does a flick downhill through 4 and climb up towards one of the trickiest corners on the track. It's 𝗬𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗡 who's looking to challenge. Aaron Walker's made a great start, and we're looking down the order. It looks like everyone's got away fairly cleanly, David. Maybe just some bumping and barging towards the back, but the real beneficiary from that is looking like it's 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗏𝗏, because he's managed to keep behind some real fast riders.
Yeah, absolutely. I see Dave Hedges got a drive through as well, presumably either out of position or going a little bit too quick off when the light went green. And yeah, you say the real winners of 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗏, like you say, he's managed to gap by about half a second so far, and he'll be hoping that these 3 behind him in the form of Chris Shaw, Aaron Walker and 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗓𝗏 start to come to blows and give him a little bit more breathing room. But the big loser off of that one, unfortunately, was one of your mates, Angus Martin. He just seemed to get swamped off the line. I don't know if it was he just didn't catch the start properly, or whether it was the ballast and lack of slipstream from cars ahead, and obviously having clear air ahead of him that really slowed him down. But he seemed very tentative into the first corner, and as a result just got completely swamped by every car around him. You see coming to blows. Aaron Walker catching the back right of Chris Shaw, and that shifted Chris a little bit wide, gives 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗓𝗏, and then you've got Ēdenbro coming in for good measure as well, and they're all trying to battle for position, and a little bit of catch there as well. Ēdenbro going sideways through the final corner. But yeah, we said to him it was a fairly clean start, apart from, like you say, Simon Wilkes getting spun around as well. But starting to come to blows. Look at that, 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗏𝗏 already with a 1.5 second gap at the front.
That's really down to that battling. It looked like Walker sent it up the inside of Shaw, and then they couldn't decide who was going to be in what position through the final 2 corners, and that allowed 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗓𝗏 to scamper through and up to 2nd place. Regan Mitchell, it was up to 7th place in the 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Maserati. And yeah, 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 now, he's got to make hay whilst the sun shines and try to gap this battle pack, because in this group you do have championship contenders like Ēdenbro and Benjamin Tusting, who's leading rival Michael O'Brien there in 8th and 9th, just at the back of the shot there in the 2 McLarens. So after 1 lap, you've got to say these guys are going to need to get things sorted out and start fighting through the order, as we see 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 heading backwards down the timing order. I wonder what has happened to him in the 2nd 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Maserati. They look like there was contact there, and there's a car off to the side. That was 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, I believe, off in the grass on track right and the exit of the chicane. And that's I wonder what's happened there. These guys were exchanging paint for the majority of that opening lap, and I wonder whether that's just it's always going to end in tears, David, isn't it? And especially with these cars so close together and so many of them fighting for the positions at the sharp end.
Absolutely, and yeah, like you say, it's a fairly short race in GT4 class, and the fact that it's only 45 minutes, of course, it might feel like an eternity to some people if you're not having the best of evenings, but it's not necessarily a long race in this category. So we're continuing to, as we have seen throughout the whole season, of course, with the reverse grid really paying dividends to that as well. We're seeing a lot of people battling for for opportunities just to just to get a bit of clean air. And I can only imagine that was the case there. And that hairpin they went through, the little left-right or the right-left, sorry, that they go through, it is one of those where if you catch the curb incorrectly, you've got that there's massive sausage curbs on the inside as well, which can offset the car. And I wonder if it was a case of maybe Will caught one of them and then just got picked up. Hopefully, if we can, we'll see a replay. But yeah, I mean, that shoved him right the way down. He's now down into 13th as it stands. So you don't know whether he's picked up damage as well. But again, all of this contributing to the fact that 𝗦𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗏 is starting to make a little bit of headway. And looking at these two, they've come to blows, like you said, a couple of times already, Tim, and I can't see that not being the case for the next 40 minutes.
Aaron Walker getting a fantastic run to the right-hander at turn 4 as they climb up the hill towards turn 5. He's on the outside. Can't get the move done there. Opts to try and cut back for this hairpin. He'll be on the outside. Can he get it done? Try and use the almost NASCAR high line around there and slingshot off towards the chicane, where he'll still be on the outside. I think he's just going to drop in behind the McLaren. Goes deep on the brakes. Brave. He's certainly trying to discourage Chris Shaw from taking his line. And he's actually got the cutback through the second part of the chicane. He's up the inside, which will become the outside as this circuit weaves its way through a hilltop above the Budapest city. And indeed, he's got the move done. Crucial for Walker, who's going to now kick on. See if he can close that now over 2-second gap to 𝗦𝗢𝗡𝗏𝗡𝗏. It's now over 2.5 seconds. So he's really got some work to do, but 39 minutes to do it. I'm sure he'll be set his sights on that BMW in front, the Power Motorsports driver, and Aaron Walker, who took victory, I believe, here in season 1. And David, a little bit of trivia for you. Do you know which driver he passed to take the victory?
I have absolutely no idea.
You're speaking to David. So throw that one in. Anyway, we'll look back at 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗦𝗢𝗡𝗏𝗏. We're hearing from the broadcast director, Steve Proudie, that actually 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗦𝗢𝗏𝗏 just dropped it on his own. So no contact that we alluded to. He just made a mistake, and that sent him into the barrier. So no replay, but we know that there wasn't any malicious intent going on with that incident there. He's behind Luka Berk in 11th, who's himself behind Aaron Martin Pilkington. He's behind Michael O'Brien, who's behind Johannes Weiss. There's a train of cars really from 5th down to 12th, 13th, 14th. You see Benjamin 𝗬𝗏𝗏 here coming under fire from the Maserati of Regan Mitchell. He's in a strong position at the moment. You've got to say there's a few drivers lining up behind him that might be able to make the move shortly. As Angus Martin now has recovered back to 5th place. So Angus Martin in the Aston Martin, I have to get that one in, is doing very well inside the top 5. But plenty of time still to go. Luka Berk, though, not making an impression yet, David. 11th place, championship challenger Michael O'Brien, a couple of spots up the road, and then 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 here on your screen at the moment in 6th. So the people he needs to keep tabs on are starting to push their way up the order. I mean, Aidan Brough in 4th, and even Chris Shaw up in 3rd.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs to try and get a bit of a wriggle on, and it might not necessarily be one of those where he's going to get past them at some point, but he just needs to work on damage limitation to an extent, especially with Benjamin 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏. It looks like it's only going to be a matter of time before he makes the move past Angus Martin, because he seems to have just so much more pace than the Aston car at the moment. You see Aaron Walker in the picture. He is closing very, very quickly on 𝗦𝗢𝗡𝗏𝗏𝗏. So he's managed to drop Chris Shaw by just over a second, which is going to give him that little bit of breathing room he needs, and he can start to turn the screw on the BMW driver currently out in front as we're just coming on to lap number 4. But I would imagine, Tim, that this is probably going to be the point where Benjamin 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 will look to make the move, because he'll get a run out of the final corner, and he's got a perfect slingshot to go into turn 1.
Well, that Aston Martin, though, is fairly decent in a straight line. Let's see if he makes the move. 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 looks to the inside. Can he go late on the brakes? He can. They're matched on the way into the corner. Martin trying to hold it around the outside, but 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's got that inside line, gets a good run out of the corner at turn 1 and down the hill towards turns 2 and 3. He's got the job done. So that's P5. As we see O'Brien coming under fire then from Aaron Martin Pilkington. As he goes round the outside, the BMW have the inside line through 4. They're still making contact. That's going to push O'Brien out, and that's going to allow 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 a chance to maybe come back at them. There's a traffic jam of blue and silver cars there. There's 2 Caymans and a Ginetta, though they all look like it was just one long machine there as they were nose to tail through the first sector. But O'Brien holding on to 9th place, which would be crucial in terms of his championship. needs to get those points as Walker goes up the inside for the lead on the exit of the chicane. He got the run on 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗡𝗗𝗏, got the move done cleanly, and 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in the YouTube chat's already impressed with Aaron Walker's driving. He's more impressed with that one. Very clean move to take the lead. He's going to be doing his best to try and push on now and build a gap, because behind there is Chris Shaw and 𝗦𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗡𝗗𝗏 not too far back. So I wonder if they're going to be doing their best now to get the move done on 𝗦𝗃𝗃 as well, following the footsteps of the KTM driver and get in front and start really challenging Walker for the race victory.
Yeah, absolutely. You see so many cars going sideways through some of those corners there. One of the, in fact, actually, was that? No, it wasn't Aaron Walker. It was Dave Hedges. Sorry, I'm seeing two KTMs and getting very confused. And I've just realised that Dave is in the in the race tonight as well. He's just obviously a little bit further back. I don't know if he's got caught up in a couple of incidents over the last couple of laps. It's very early to be a lap down, but just hearing from Steve Pradimo, he's normally that far back. I'm sure he'd love for us to mention that. But big shout out to Regan Mitchell, who, funny enough, has just appeared on screen as well. He's going to look to try and make a move past Angus Martin on the brakes. No ABS in that Maserati, of course, but somehow manages to get it stopped fairly well and makes that move. It's a very clean move into turn one, and that's dropped Angus Martin back into the mouths of the lions behind. You've got, I think it's Michael O'Brien and Johannes Weiss all looking to pick up the scraps in there as well. But sorry Tim, bit of contact. Angus Martin getting caught up there, and we'll see where that shakes out in a minute. But it's just one of those, isn't it? Everyone's trying to find a bit of space on track, and unfortunately just a couple of them come into blows at the moment.
Yeah, Angus Martin falling into the Lions pit there. They're all lining up to pass him, and there's a little bit of contact with the BMW of Johannes Weiss, which tipped him into a spin almost. He managed to hold it round turn 2 or 3 really, and they're just going to line up here, look to get the move done. And it's actually his teammate Michael Haffenden there, who's fought his way up from 14th, is now really fighting to get the move done. Look how close all these cars are. It's amazing they all make it through the chicane cleanly. As we see Shaw now coming under fire from Aidan Brose, looking to the inside through the exit of the S's. He's got the job done in the Ginetta. He's going to maybe need to get the advantage around these final 3 corners at 12, 13 and 14, because the McLaren, we know it's very quick in a straight line, and at somewhere like Monza, we saw the Ginetta was maybe even 15, 20 kilometres an hour slower than the cars around it. And with a long pit straight here, the Mob 7 Zansho Esports driver will be looking to make benefit from that particular characteristic of his car and the deficit of Bro, who moves over to the right hand side to deny the McLaren any sniff of a slipstream. As here we cut to a replay. I wonder if this will be, here we go, this is the incident unfolding down the hill towards turn 3. That's Weiss up the inside. He's really defending from O'Brien and just has to send it up the inside of Martin. They make contact. Martin holds on to it. The slow run through the corner, side to side contact again with Dendy. Then even through turns 4, a few of the drivers running out wide over the curb, and Martin's just out of the train there, David. And we've seen that before. Get kicked out of line and just kind of wave the field on by, because everyone's so close together in this grid.
Yeah, absolutely. You're almost waiting for an invitation to be let back into the into the running order. But unfortunately for him there, like you say, I think it was just a case, like you say, Johannes Weiss was almost defending from Michael O'Brien, maybe got a little bit late on the brakes and caught Angus, which is a shame. But yeah, it is one of those. These guys are so competitive these days, coming into season 5 now, of course, and the quality of the field is so high. You make a little mistake, you get caught up in something like that, you lose any little bit of flow in your driving, and you've seen what happened. He was 6th or 7th going into that. He's now down in 13th and potentially on the cusp of falling back to 15th as well if he makes a couple of mistakes. So he's got to be very careful. But as you mentioned, he did say he was feeling a bit under the weather. So the fact that he's still holding on to that car so far and is still in with a chance of getting pole position for Silverstone next week as well, it is fantastic to see.
Nice to see some fighting spirit this evening. We often have plenty of that surplus indeed when these GT4s are racing. We're close to elapsing 15 minutes of this race so far. Stijn Passpont, who started inside the top 20, who's now slipped back. He's battling down the order with Mark 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. And here we go on your screen at the moment. Cameron Fyfe is doing a very nice job at the moment in 19th. With only a few AM drivers in front of him, so he's having a good race for a change. Poor Cameron, he's had a few incidents, a few coming togethers with drivers that haven't really been his fault, but for the number 13 Aston Martin. It would be great to see him bounce back after a DNF last time out at Suzuka, but he has got Jamie Peters-Ennis closing in behind, so one of the top hand drivers really close with him. But Michael Haffenden now coming under fire from Luke Rogers in the Ginetta. They're side by side through turn 1 on the run down towards turn 3. Haffenden has the inside. Rogers tries to go all the way around the outside, which will switch back up to the inside through the right hand. A contact between the two of them. Haffenden getting all kinds of crossed up, trying to hold that one. Rogers really just tapped the right rear of the Aston Martin Vantage through the kink up towards turn 5. A little bit more paint exchange between the two of them. Rogers runs out wide, all 4 wheels over the curb. But he's still there in competition with the HF Impala driver to run up the hill towards the chicane. It looks like Haffenden might have to yield, but I don't think he'll be too pleased with that. Rather forced out of the road there. But sometimes we get that, David, don't we? We get this side-by-side action where it's like, is it rubbing, is racing? Sometimes, the cars so close together, there can be a fine line between hard racing and something that has a little bit of malicious intent.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that's one of those that I'll firmly leave in the stewards' court to figure out after this race. Of course, the results from this evening, as always, are provisional, so we'll know roughly who's going to shake out where. But things like that will obviously be reviewed, and I'm sure there'll be protests here and there coming in throughout the race. And Luke is one of those who's had his fair share of incidents, to be fair, and similar to Cameron, not necessarily all fault of his own. So he had that coming together with, I think it was 𝗬𝗦𝗡𝗡𝗡𝗡𝗏 on the final lap at Oulton Park. Got caught up with 𝗬𝗦𝗡𝗡𝗡𝗏 last week at Suzuka as well. So he's certainly no stranger to action. But to me, if I was to try and avoid sitting on the fence, I would say it was a little bit aggressive. But like you say, there a very fine line between a little bit of friendly nudging and something a little bit more. So I'll leave it up to the stewards to figure that one out.
Well, Rogers fighting for what's 14th. He's got a best result of 11th coming at Oulton Park and Donington Park. So he's close to matching his best so far this season. Rennie Butler on screen at the moment. The only non-scoring Butler Powell Motorsport driver in the 228 𝗬𝗏. When I say non-scoring, it's not scoring for the team's championship. There are 5 Butler Powell Motorsports drivers, 2 of them in Ginettas, 2 of them in BMWs, as we see Passpont trying to go round the outside of Yannick Müller down the hill towards 3. He's got the inside line now, very sideways, drifting all the way. 𝗖𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗡𝗗𝗏 manages to hold it through the turn 3 and then into the right hander at the bottom of the hill. Getting some laughs in my ear, so that must have been all right. But yeah, up the hill towards the kink. I don't know how he managed to hold on to that one, David. It looked like the back end had completely overtaken the front.
Oh, that was absolutely brilliant. And not quite Luka Berk from Suzuka last week, but he certainly put in on a show there. He had the inside line like you saw, and then he just, obviously, as we've said, we'll say it once and we'll say it many more times this evening and throughout the next couple of races, but no ABS nor no traction control on the Maserati, and Stane was certainly proving that in that corner, wasn't he? That was unbelievable stuff.
Top 10 for effort anyway. We'll give him that one for that slide through there. He's on the back of a train here. Yannick Müller in front in the bright yellow Mercedes, which I believe is a cheese livery. Someone said it was a sponge, but I think it's meant to be cheese. He's then chasing behind, where he's got Reece Wiggin and the only Camaro on the grid, and Müller goes to the inside. He's blocked off by the rather sizable back end of the Camaro, then goes to the inside. Müller up on the curb, a little bit of side-to-side contact. Meanwhile, 𝗬𝗏𝗡𝗡𝗏𝗏 tries to go around the outside. There's more paint exchange, yellow on black. Contact again. 𝗬𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗏 spins to the inside, manages to get it held into turn 13. They're 2 by 2 as they rise up the hill towards 14. That's 𝗬𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Passpont having to take the outside line. Richard Pixley, our AM Class Championship leader at the moment, in behind, ready to pounce should these guys come to blows. But look at the way the Maserati and Mercedes just pull past the Alpine down the long straight. And as they head into turn 1, they're past, and all Müller can do is fight back on the brakes as we head in towards the second half of this one. And there's fantastic aerial shot as they head down the hill through turn 2. It's not really a corner, but it's listed as one into turn 3. Müller around the outside. There is a gap on his inside if he can get the car there and take the position. Almost just about files into line. Does so through turn 4. Some nice hard racing towards the back end of the grid. And Aaron Martin Pilkington, who knows his fair share of fighting through the orders from towards the back. We've seen it a couple of times this season. Currently in 9th at the moment, challenging Johannes Weiss in another BMW. Behind, he's got Matt Richards in the number 44 𝗦𝗬𝗔𝗦𝗡𝗡 challenging him, but his BMW should pull away in a straight line, and then the 𝗦𝗬𝗔𝗦𝗡𝗏 is going to close up all the way through the turns. But personally, David, I've been really impressed with the pace of these BMWs. They don't seem to have many faults to them, and a number of the drivers have alluded to how strong this car has been over the 4 races so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I think it's carrying 10 kilos of ballast, if at all. So it's one of the less harshly impacted cars by the balance performance. And yeah, considering how you would not necessarily expect a car the size of the BMW to be fairly conducive to a track like this, they're certainly doing a good job of it. And I'm sure what Aaron is thinking now is, right, let's try and get past Johannes. As you see, they keep your distance wording on the back of the 𝗦𝗡𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗡𝗏 BMW, which always never. I've just noticed, David,
it says "please" underneath, actually, in even smaller font. I just noticed. So at least some manners in the request.
Absolutely. And then again, if you can read the "please," then you're probably a bit too close, and you're probably not adhering to the comment anyway, are you? But we'll move away from that. But I'm sure what Aaron will be hoping is to try to not necessarily have to keep his distance, get past Johannes, and then try and make some inroads in the gap up towards Michael O'Brien ahead. Because if you look at them, barring Regan Mitchell, who's doing a fantastic job on that Maserati, it's got to be said, they're all quite closely matched up at the top. If you go back, obviously there's a 5-second gap from current race leader Aaron Walker back to Aidan Brough, but then you've got Matzik a second and a half back, and it's quite tight down towards the bottom of the top 10. So if Aaron can make a move over the next lap or so, he's certainly got enough time to start getting himself a bit further up the order as well.
Just as we head towards the second half of this one, it is Aaron Walker who leads the way by a gap that's nearly 6 seconds ahead of Aidan Brough. Then it's Philip Matzik rounding out your top 3 as we head to Jamie Peters-Ennis, who took victory in the AM class last time out. Coming the cork in the bottle at the moment, with Rhys Wiggin behind, a little bit of hip checking almost through the exit of the chicane. It's Wiggin, then 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏, Passpont, Muller and Pixley all lining up to take a go at Jamie Peters-Ennis in the 77 McLaren. You can see through this back section of the course, it's so difficult to get a move done. 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗏's running offline. Don't know whether that was through choice or rather through understeer in that Mercedes AMG GT4. As we cut back to Aaron Martin Pilkington, Tron Racing 626 BMW. He's got the run on his competition, Johannes Weiss, as they head down towards turn 1. Go out towards the left-hand side, then swoop to the right. So maybe try and get the cut back and then the run down the hill towards 3. These cars are evenly matched. It's like racing in a spec series. There's no real advantage out there on the track to be had. As we come into turn 3, it looks like Martin Pilkington is just going to have to wait his turn in 9th. And it's certainly heating up between these two because, like you say, David, 3-second gap in front. These two are starting to do some damage to their races by battling so hard. Speaking of battling so hard, that was Stein Passpont looking up the inside of 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏 into turn 1. Yannick Muller trying to make it work around the outside, heading down the hill and under the bridge into 3. And we've got Pixley, who's now coming under fire from 𝗤𝗏𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗡𝗏𝗏 in the 18 Dunmow Sport. Oh, there's contact, synchronised spinning. 3 drivers going around. That's 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, Muller and Pixley spinning through turn 3. That was a case of 7 into 1 won't go, David.
Absolutely, yeah. And it was, amazing stuff. Watching them almost, like I say, synchronised spinning was certainly right. I'd give them a 10 out of 10 for the presentation there. It was a fantastic job. It was interesting because it didn't really look like there was too much going on. It looked like they were all about to make the apex fairly cleanly. I was more worried about Stein Passpont going into turn 1, which is when the picture just appeared, because it looked like he was maybe outbraked himself a little bit, and of course no ABS. We'll mention it again. It would have been a big incident had he not managed to keep it out of the way of Martin 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. But it was just one of those. If it was going to happen, well, it wasn't a case of if it was going to happen. It was a case of when, wasn't it? And unfortunately, that's meant that they've all dropped down a little bit. But it's given Jamie Peters-Ennis and Rhys Wiggin a chance to break forward a little bit and really start to build a gap away from them. Because especially if Rich Pixley, of course, is top of the AM standings, him being caught up in that as well. These guys ahead of him really need to try and knuckle down and get some good points on the board.
Certainly championship implications from that battle in the AM category. I think we're going to get a replay of that now. Here we go, down towards turn 1. That's Muller on the right in the blue and yellow Alpine, and that's Passpont up on the grass into turn 1, just managing to file in line behind the cheesy Mercedes as they go down the hill. towards turn 3. Look at this side by side. But yeah, like you say, David, it looks like they've got everything settled. And it's Pixley, really, who causes the chain reaction there. Gets in too deep, hits the back of Muller, who in turn hits the back of 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗦𝗢𝗡, and they spin round. But I wonder if he was just too desperate to make that move at the back and really find that space. That there was a 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗦𝗢𝗡-sized hole in front of him, but the door was always closing at a corner like turn 3.
Yeah, absolutely, and I like to see the fact that Martin 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗦𝗢𝗡 was bringing out shades of 𝗬𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 from Hungary. It was about 10 years ago when he shifted it right up towards the wall on Staying Passport there just to try and stop him from getting past. But yeah, I wonder if it's one of those where Rich is just feeling a bit of the pressure now. He knows some of the guys in that championship battle with him are a bit further ahead, and he's just trying to make those moves that you wouldn't normally go for. You see picture in picture still Martin 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗦𝗢𝗡 under pressure from Yannick Muller in the Alpine. It's going to be one of those where it looks like Mark's probably going to end up conceding the position at some point. But amazingly as well, these three battling for 7th, 8th and 9th are still somehow in the same positions they have been for the last few laps. And I'm noticing that we've lost someone as well. I think 𝗦𝗚𝗏𝗏𝗏's disappeared off the
he has
off the running order, actually. I was going to say
he's just tumbling down the timing screen, so I'm not quite sure what's happened to the 𝗦𝗃𝗔𝗏𝗏 driver. I wonder if that was a disconnect, because he was up in 2nd place, so we'll have to see what happened to the 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗏 Motorsports driver. He was the closest challenger to Aaron Walker, who's now got a 10-second advantage over Benjamin Tusting, and Philip Matzik still holding on to a podium position in the 251 BMW. And Chris Shaw in 4th, ahead of Regan Mitchell, who's really driving the wheels off that 69 Squadra Volante Maserati, with Michael O'Brien in 6th. Crucial points being scored for his championship challenge, and he will be closing the gap on Luka Berk, if not jumping the GT4 Season 4 champion, if results stay, well, if the standings, positions on screen, stay as they are. But as we know, everything and anything normally happens in these GT4 races. Then Johannes Weiss on screen now, just in front of Aaron Martin Pilkington, who's just in front of Matt Richards in the 44, Zansho Simsport. They're all close together and have been for what seems like the last 20 minutes. And behind, starting to close up on them, is Berk in the 87. Zansho Simsport Cayman in 10th place. They've dropped 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, who's now 3rd, 3 seconds back, as we're hearing that it was a disconnect for Aidan Brough, which is the most heartbreaking way to get out of a race. And as we see around the outside, attempts Aaron Martin Pilkington, which will become the inside for turn 13. But Richards wants to get in on the action. He gets shuffled out wide. They push Weiss out to the right-hand side. Richards trying to get up underneath the blue and white BMW into turn 14. Can't make it stick, so he's going to have to file back in line. And that's brought Luka Berk right into this battle now. It's 3 drivers at the moment, but very quickly becoming 4. And Berk's got a tricky situation here, David. Does he fight through the order and risk maybe being involved in an incident? As Weiss looks to the inside into turn 1, he's going to try and be the last of the late breakers. But Aaron Martin Pilkington just closes the door on him. Let's go back to what I was saying, David. Yeah, Berk, he's got a bit of a game to play here now. Does he try and pass these 3 drivers, or does he maybe just wait and see if a door opens for him? Because at the moment, he's losing points to his championship challengers. Being involved in any kind of incident might just make matters worse for him.
Absolutely, Tim. And yeah, I have, whilst you were talking, managed to try and do a small amount of maths, the amount of maths my brain can handle, at least anyway, based on standings and obviously the points that are shared out for the positions in this race. As it stands, I don't know the exact number, but I know that Benjamin Tusting won't have enough points differential based on their current positions to have overtaken Luka Berk at the top of the leaderboard. So he will still be in 3rd as it stands. Michael O'Brien will 100% be going above Luka Berk as it stands. So it's one of those, and it's a very interesting juxtaposition for him, because do you then go and get past some of these guys? See Dave Hedges shifting around, obviously got some connection issues in the background, so we'll try and ignore that. But is it one of those where you go, like you say, you go for the moves, you try and get further up and you get points now, or do you take do you bite the bullet? And you can see he's definitely, I mean, Luka Berk's not going to do that, let's be honest. As you can see, Matt Richards putting Johannes Weiss under all sorts of pressure. We saw this happen last week. They came to blows. Hopefully it's a bit cleaner this time, and it looks like it will be. So manages to get the move done into turn 13. Luka Berk's not going to be needing to be asked twice, but he's spun him round.
I think
Yeah,
Berk's
he
gone
just
round,
caught
just
the
went
inside
up the inside. Yeah, catching the inside of the BMW. And 2 into 1 didn't go. And it looks like Berk's come off the worst there. But exactly what we're saying, David. Do you get involved with these kind of fights?
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to be his kind of little reality check and go, no, I'll sit behind you now unless the move presents itself without any real issues whatsoever. Because that was one of those where if he'd have been spun or caught any more damage, he could have been down to the gaps aren't enormous back there. He could have come out of the top 15 and he would have started in that position on the grid next week. So he's got to be careful. At the moment, he would start 5th, and I think that's what he probably needs to start thinking about. He knows Michael O'Brien's ahead of him. He's only four positions ahead. It will mean that Michael will have the upper hand going into the finale at Silverstone, but Luka will be obviously 4 positions further up the grid as well, and we know how strong he is at Silverstone based on his recent exploits as well. So if I was him, I'd be starting to rein it down a little bit and start to focus next week instead.
Luka Berk, rather experiencing a try before you buy there, really getting away with that one. And yes, I wonder if he will now take a more cautious approach to the final 15 minutes of this one here at the Hungaroring. As we see up ahead, that's Shaw going side by side with 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗦𝗢𝗡 for the final spot on the podium. The McLaren driver shunted out wide, and that's allowing I believe Regan Mitchell going around the outside, which becomes the inside on the run down the short chute towards the final few corners. Michael O'Brien, though, showing no signs of relenting. He's trying to find an open door to stick that Zansho Team Rocket McLaren in as they go through the final 3 corners. Rennie Butler on the left-hand side of the screen on the timing tower being handed a drive-through, so he's going to drop out 16th place. That's for sure, which is a bit disappointing for him, as would have been very close to taking that reverse grid pole position off Simon Wilkes, who's now up to 15th, despite going backwards into turn 1 on the opening lap of this one. So fantastic recovery drive from the number 12 Aston Martin. As we see Mitchell here, he is being challenged by Shaw as they head in to the first corner. They are side by side. Mitchell gets the inside line. He's done the hard bit, which is getting that Maserati stopped, and then he's done the equally hard bit of getting it out the corner without spinning up the rear tyres and going sideways. O'Brien's going to the outside now of Shaw as they head into turn 3, looking for another position, but it's going to be forced, really. Looks like he's suffering from mid-corner kind of understeer and oversteer and discomfort there, which forced him to just accept his position and drop back in line. As we cut to a replay, let's see what's going on here. This is, I believe, Richards challenging on, that was
Johannes Weiss, isn't it?
Johannes Weiss, isn't it? Yeah, these two at it again in towards turn 12. Richards tries to take the outside, gets a clean run through there. And I notice this, rather closes the door on Weiss, and then Berk sees the opportunity, rather sends one in, and side-to-side contact. No one's race is being undone there, which is nice to see, David, but that could have given Berk a little bit of front-end damage that he will be forced to carry now for the remaining 13 minutes as O'Brien finally gets the job done on Shaw, and Mitchell is now challenging for a podium position.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I for one would love to see Regan Mitchell on the podium, because you'll get to ask him how on earth he's managed to do that in one of the most difficult GT4 cars that exists in the modern world. With no EBS or no traction control, if I mentioned that already.
Yeah, I don't think we've mentioned that at all.
No, we'll mention it one more time just to be on the safe side. But yeah, going back to Luka Berk, he's in a fortunate position, to be fair to him, because he has got his rear gunner in the form of his teammate 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗦𝗢𝗡 behind. So even if Luke Rogers gets up to the back of them, he's about half a second back at the moment. He's then still got 11.5 seconds back to Angus Martin. So he has got a chance to rest on his laurels a little bit. But really the focus now is trying to see whether Regan can get past the AM driver 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗡 in that BMW. He's driven a really decent race so far, to be fair to him, who's been promoted into a podium position. And of course, due to the very unfortunate disconnection from Aidan Broad, disconnected from second, and as he's mentioned in the chat on the stream, it's a good championship position gone. I think he was 5th or 6th running into this, so it's a massive shame for him, and it all but puts him out of contention, unfortunately, barring a miracle next week. But yeah, my eyes are firmly on this battle for 3rd place, because Regan Mitchell's in prime position to get it, and looking at the way he's driven that Maserati so far, going to the last 11.5 minutes, he's in a good position to try and do so.
Yeah, sad to see Bro disconnect. He obviously dragged a fantastic result out of that 𝗦𝗔𝗦𝗡𝗏𝗏 at Monza, a circuit that you wouldn't think would favour the plucky little G55, but he managed to get a podium out of that. So he almost avoided drama at the bogey circuit for his car, and unfortunate to see him dropping out of this one. It would have been interesting to see how he played into the championship picture in these final 2 rounds. But Aaron Martin Pilkington has really closed the gap up towards Chris Shaw, getting past Johannes Weiss, and indeed Matt Richards as well, has seemingly been rather decisive in their race this evening, because they have really taken chunks out of the gap to this battle pack, which is for the podium. Although it seems like it's 3 or 4 drivers, they're all scrapping over that top spot, which is P3. Philip Matzik currently holding on to it at the moment. This train of what was 4 cars quickly becomes 6, and with Weiss not too far down the road, I wouldn't be surprised to see himself and Berk maybe closing up, and we'll have 7 or 8 or 9 even battling for this final podium position. So let's see how it pans out. Mitchell in 4th at the moment, wants to get that position, and Martin Pilkington actually looking to benefit immediately from catching the back of the train, carrying that momentum. He's looking to the outside of Shaw on the run in towards turn 1. He's going to go to the outside and try and swoop round and close the door on the McLaren. Doesn't get the job done there, but gets a nice exit out of the first corner. Running down the hill, he could be the last of the late breakers. He'll get this position done, and he'll be up to 6th place, which he does. And Chris Shaw has no reply. Matt Richards tries to benefit as well. He sneak through the slightly open door left by Chris Shaw. Really good driving from Aaron Martin Pilkington this evening, David. Up to 6th place now, actually, sorry. And looking like he could, if all things go his way in these final 10 minutes, find himself on the podium.
Well, absolutely, yeah, and that was a fantastic move from Aaron going into the first couple of corners. Of course, going to the less fruitful outside into the first corner, but really managed to get the traction out of the low speed exit onto that kind of really small straight, and managed to pretty much have the move done before the second hairpin. So really good move from him, and like you say, he's so close to getting up onto that podium position. I'm interested to see how Matt Richards gets on as well, because he was sticking behind Aaron, and every time Aaron made a move, Matt seemed to just kind of follow suit and go, yeah, I'll follow you wherever you go, I go, sort of thing. But the one thing I am noticing, I've seen it on the last 3 or 4 laps, but keeping an eye on it, Philip Matzik does not seem at all comfortable in that middle sector. I don't know if it's set up or if he's got damage or anything like that, but you notice he manages to get a little bit of time out through the first sector, but every single time they come to this final sort of infield area for the last couple of chicanes, you see Chris Shaw at the inside of Aaron Martin Pilkington there, but he then gets, that's how you see again, Matt Richards, exactly what I mentioned before, goes, yeah, I'll go where you go, Aaron, and I'll follow you through, and gets the position done. But every time they go through that second sector, those sweeping left and rights to go through, Philip Matzik just drops right back into the clutches of all of these lots. So it's surely only a matter of time before that podium position changes hands.
Yeah, indeed. He's certainly keeping his head at the moment. Fantastic to see the rookie to this championship holding on to 3rd place. Started well up the order, leaves 2nd place on the grid. So strong showing from him. You know, he hasn't succumbed to the pressure of the seasoned Simsport Racing drivers like Regan Mitchell, real-world driver and British GT race winner Michael O'Brien, Aaron Martin Pilkington, who's pretty much quick in everything and has won every single race in every single championship you can think of at Simsport Racing. But, you know, he hasn't succumbed to that pressure, and that's really important to see that if given the option to fight up the order, he can do it. But the story just breaking as we dip under 8 minutes. Michael O'Brien, currently 2nd place in the championship, receives a drive-through penalty. That must be for exceeding track limits on just one too many occasions. He's going to have to head down pit lane and trundle down at a limited speed as the drivers come past him flat out. And interestingly enough, David, after doing some very strong maths indeed, definitely getting the calculator out, I'm sure of it, Michael O'Brien is going to tumble back down the order and potentially now end up behind Luka Berk. It's almost certain he'll be outside the top 10 as Regan Mitchell looks to the inside of Matzik into turn 12, gets the Maserati stopped and tries to close the door on the exit. They've unfortunately gone behind that advertising banner, which is annoyingly placed, and nearly 3 wide into turn 13. Matzik opts to just dip out of that one, as Michael O'Brien might head to pit lane now. I think he does as they come into turn 14, 2 by 2 by 2. And they get the move done. Mitchell up the inside through turn 14 has rather wrestled that podium position away. And there's all battling now, 3 wide down the front stretch. Matzik, Richards, who's just going to drop back in the Ginetta, and Aaron Martin Pilkington on the outside, who's going to make the move for fourth. Can he do what he did to Chris Shaw and go around the outside? Richards in deep, gets the two of them through turn one, and whilst they're hit-checking each other, Richards in the 𝗦𝗔𝗏𝗡𝗡𝗏𝗡. What a fantastic move. He's making amends for the struggles last time out. How did he get that one stopped, David?
Oh my word, I mean, captain opportunistic there it was from Matt Richards. What a move that was. He could see the two BMWs fighting. Even Chris Shaw's in on the act now as well. He's managed to get past 𝗦𝗏𝗡𝗡𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗡, so it's all gone pear-shaped for the 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Racing driver. But what a move from Matt there. He sent it up the inside, take no prisoners attitude, and he's now got himself up into fourth place, and he'll be trying to break down the gap towards Regan Mitchell. But yeah, it really is now, going back to Michael O'Brien, it's advantage Berk in the nicest way possible. That is his name. I'm not trying to be rude about Luka, but yeah, it's all in Luka's hands now. So he's going to be in the right position going into it. You see Chris Shaw getting back on the back of Philip Matzik. I thought he was going to get nudged by Aaron there as well. And yeah, just hearing from Steve Won how calm 𝗦𝗏𝗡𝗡𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is going to be now. He's very disappointed in himself more than anything. I think that he's let a couple of positions slip there, but yeah, going into the final race, Tim, it's definitely advantage Luka Berk now. But Michael O'Brien in 16th. If he can get past Simmons in front of him, he's on pole position for next week in a McLaren that we know will be very strong around Silverstone. So by all means, it's definitely not over.
Well, Simmons yet to finish inside the top 20 this season, so you've got to fancy O'Brien's chances, but he's probably going to have 2-3 laps at most to get the job done on the Audi number 82. And let's see if he can get it. It's Chris Shaw now, handed a drive through. It looked like he just ran wide on the exit of turn 13, and that's going to really upset his race and turn it on its head, because look how close the pack is behind. He's going to go tumbling down the order. I wonder if he might come out behind O'Brien. It'd be crucial then to give the number 7 Zansho Rocket Esports driver that reverse grid pole position. So let's see when Chris Shaw in the 58 decides to serve his penalty. Gets all kinds of crossed up on the exit of turn 1, drops in behind Matzik, who still is holding his own inside this titanic battle for the podium. But in the exchange there, they've lost even more time to Regan Mitchell and Matt Richards, who are now separated by half a second. These guys are battling for the final spot on the podium. In front, Benjamin Tusting, 11.5 seconds up the road. And then even further, you've got to look a quarter of a minute ahead to Aaron Walker, who's leading the way rather convincingly this evening. 𝗦𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 he's kind of yo-yoed a little bit, gone forward and backwards and forward again. Chris Shaw running across the chicane. He looked like he got a bit crossed up in behind the yellow and black BMW, the Tron Racing car, and is now going to drop behind. I think he rejoined, and yet he's behind Vice, he's behind Berk. He's now up to 8th place. So it's all change here, David, inside the final 4 minutes. But crucial then for his championship, like you say, Berk is going to be, extending that advantage to O'Brien, who has gone into 15th place. So it's going to set us up for a thrilling finale next time.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm struggling to keep a track of what's going on at the moment. I'm sure Chris Shaw will drop into the pits on this lap. He's dropped too many positions. There's really going to be no real benefit to him doing that. As always, see Matt Richards going up the inside into the final corner. Sorry, just top left of your screen. You can see what a move that is. Again, he's just making moves where you just don't expect them to be done. Or at least the drivers in front of him don't expect them to be done anyway. You'd expect the Maserati 𝗦𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗏 to pull out a little bit on top if he's got that little bit more top-end speed. But we've seen how quick these 𝗦𝗔𝗏𝗡𝗏s can be, and Matt Richards is going to have to move up the inside. Is 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏 going to go for the cutback? He does. He's going to be struggling to put the power down, but he's just about managed it. But it looks like that is going to be moved done by Matt Richards into turn number 3. If you count the kink as well, depends on who you ask. But always you see 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 going sideways. Oh, I thought he was going to catch the back end of Matt Richards there. That was getting a little bit squirmy there. I was getting a little bit worried for them. But going back to what we said before, it's all playing into Luka Berk's hands now. But like I say, the reverse grid can throw up all sorts of shenanigans. So although he's going to have the upper hand going into the final race, it seems, despite the fact that barely even 15-20 minutes ago he was definitely at a disadvantage. It's all come back his way. But we've seen those main guys who've got drive-through penalties after the last couple of laps, and with presumably 1 lap to go after this one, depending on where runaway leader Aaron Walker is on the track, there's still a chance they can get one. And if they get one in the final lap, of course, they're going to be whacked with a time penalty because they won't be able to serve it. So still remains to be seen how this is going to play out.
Got to say that leaves 𝗬𝗏 in a very strong position, currently in second, nearly 20 seconds off the back of Aaron Walker, who's just having a field day this evening at Hungary. No questions asked of his race lead. As that's 𝗬𝗏 moving over, defending hard from Aaron Pilkington in towards turn 12. There was nearly contact between the two of them, and up towards 13. And really, Matt Richards, he spent all evening looking at the back of this Tron Racing BMW, but once he got past, he really kicked on, didn't he? And up to third now, and although it's a sizable gap to Benjamin 𝗬𝗏, he's fought his way through from 12th on the grid as the number 44 𝗦𝗘𝗏. So props to Matt Richards for an aggressive but decisive move to get up onto that podium position. These guys side by side down towards turn 1. Aaron Pilkington dropping in behind. He's in a Butler Powell Motorsport BMW sandwich, so a rather exciting place to be, but fireworks sure to kick off as with just over half a minute to go. This race has flown by, David. I don't know about you, it seems to have gone in a blink of an eye, but for Aaron Walker it's probably taken a lifetime, because he's had no challenge, no competition, and he's simply shown just how quick he is at the wheel of this number 99 KTM.
Yeah, absolutely. It's shades of Monza from a couple of weeks ago, isn't it? He's kept himself out of trouble in the first couple of laps. He was obviously caught up in a few battles, but managed to not take out too many battle scars from those. And as soon as he got past, I think it was 𝗬𝗏 in the end, who was at the top of the timing charts when he made his move, he's just disappeared off the road up until that point. So fantastic drive from him, and we'll see him cross the line in a minute. But big shout out to Benjamin 𝗬𝗏 and Matt Richards. They're really the ones who've taken the biggest dents out of Luka Berk's title challenge, because Matt, obviously, it's his second podium in a row, and I'm sure when you get the chance to speak to him in a minute, he'll be a happy boy indeed.
As we see, rounding the final corner, then onto the pit straight, Aaron Walker is going to win here at the Hungaroring. He takes a dominant victory, his second of the season, and a sizable gap, over 20 seconds to Benjamin 𝗬𝗏, is yet to cross the line, but this battle for 6th, 6th and 7th is yet to be settled, as Aaron Pilkington looks to get the job done on 𝗬𝗏 as they go through turns 13 and climb up towards turn 14, the final corner. Can Pilkington get the job done? 𝗬𝗏 slightly wide through the entry. There's contact to the left rear, and there's the driver goes spinning round, and Aaron Pilkington gets through. That's Weiss gets through, and I believe that might be 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗡𝗗𝗏 and Luka Berk who's also got through, so benefiting right at the end there. Shame to see that one end in tears, but Aaron Walker wins by nearly 22 seconds from Benjamin 𝗬𝗏, and Matt Richards from 12th on the grid rounds out the top 3. Regan Mitchell, Johannes Weiss complete the top 5, with Dendy, Martin Pilkington, Berk, Rogers and 𝗬𝗏𝗡 completing the top 10. Michael Haffenden from 17th on the grid gets up to 11th for his best result of the season in the HF Impala Racing number 861 Aston Martin. Then it's Michael O'Brien in 12th, recovering from that drive-through penalty, ahead of Chris Shaw in 13th, Simon Wilkes 14th, and Simmons there, who will benefit from the reverse grid pole position for the final round of the season at Silverstone. Then it's Reese Wiggins, Stain Paspont, Yannick Muller, Angus Martin, our pole sitter this evening, and Cameron Fife rounding out the top 10. And a little wiggle across the line. Looks like Cameron was happy with his drive this evening. A strong showing to bag 20th position will be his best result of the season so far. But David, if that race has proven anything, it's that the championship is never over until it's over. And heading into Silverstone, with the changes we've seen with the likes of Bryn getting penalties, Chris Shaw down the order with his penalty as well, that even with Berk's result this evening, again, only his second ever finish outside the top 4 in his time in the GT4s here at Simsport Racing, that the championship is going to be all to play for. And even up into the final 5 minutes of next race, anything and probably everything will happen.
Absolutely, yeah, and I must say, I'll tell you this, I'm very glad you called through those final standings, because it gave me a chance to catch my breath. What a race that was. Unbelievable stuff. And obviously you can see the highlights on screen. I can't believe how much there was going into the first couple of corners. Simmons there nearly getting collected by, I think that's Mark Raddenbury, going a little bit sideways and backwards through the first couple of corners. But I mean, yeah, Aaron Walker, class and above. I could say probably exactly the same thing I said at Monza a couple of weeks ago, because he was just a different level today. As soon as he got into that position at the top end of the grid, he disappeared off and ran his own race and did what he's good at doing, and he's really showing how powerful that KTM can be. But big well done to Benjamin Tusting and Matt Richards, especially for going up the grid as they did. And Matt Richards to get 2 podiums in a row in a series such as the Simsport GT4s. Of course, we've got reverse grids every week. Is nothing short of a brilliant effort. So fantastic to hear from him. Well, fantastic result from him, and hopefully we'll drag those top 3 into the interview booth in a minute. And I'm sure you'll be able to ask them some hard hitting questions, as you like to do, Tim.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get a word from our top drivers in a second. But, David, heading into a circuit like Silverstone, we're going to go from a track like this to a track like Silverstone, wide open and flat. You've got to fancy those McLarens or BMWs climbing up the order.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be one of those that's really going to benefit them. One of those that is really going to yield some good top speed on there. So it'd be good to see how these guys get on. But I know that you've got some people sat in the interview booth waiting to chat to them, Tim. So I'll hand over to your fine self and I'll let you fire away.
I'm joined here in the interview booth with some of our top drivers from the race this evening at the Hungaroring. I'll come to our race winner first, Aaron Walker, Season 1 champion, Monza race winner in the KTM. And this evening, Aaron, it was much of the same. Out on the front, all on your own. Must have been boring winning another one.
You said it. You said it, Tim. Obviously, I prefer to have a battle. It's, you can't. That's why we race. It's nice to win, but yeah, it would have been good to battle along the way. It's difficult to keep yourself motivated in those sort of situations. Easy to make mistakes.
You say it's easy to make mistakes, Aaron, but looking at the timing screens, although, yes, there was some battling behind, an over 21-second advantage at the flag tonight. I mean, the KTM must have had some fantastic performance here at this track to really extend a lead to that size.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously suits the track. It's probably going to be looked at in next season's BOP, no doubt. Yeah. I mean, I did try to take it easy. Once I got out in front, I did try to take it easy, but the tyres, the temperature dropped off and the pressures were dropping, and it started to get a bit unsettled. So I picked up the pace again. I also had in the back of my mind that Mr. Hedges was out there in the same car and could possibly take the fastest lap away from me. So I was really trying hard.
And looking forward to the next round, Aaron, Silverstone, a very different kind of circuit. How do you think the KTM will fare there? And obviously, you will be starting in 15th place. What are your thoughts about the next race?
I mean, the KTM struggles to overtake. It really does. You have to take every opportunity when it comes. I mean, as it showed at Suzuka, I think the KTM was the fastest car on the track there, but it was impossible to get by. So from 15th, I think I climbed to 11th, and there was just no getting by Aiden on the day. And Silverstone could be the same. It's good when you've got a bit of clear track, but it's definitely difficult to overtake in it.
Well, thank you very much, Aaron, and congratulations on your result this evening.
Thank you, Tim.
We'll go over to our second place finisher as Ben Tusting in the McLaren. Now, Ben, I'll start off by saying that's your best result of the season. 3 fourth place finishes, a 5th place finish. You're on the podium for the first time. And that's putting you in a strong stead for the championship. How was your race this evening?
Yeah, I made a really good start for once. I was quite happy with it. But I got stuck behind the Maserati for a few laps, and once I managed to get past him, it was quite good. And then, unfortunately, the second place 𝗦𝗘𝗔𝗦𝗡 just disappeared. So from there on, it was plain sailing. Apart from, I thought I was going to run out of fuel because I didn't realise when it said 1 minute 30, that then became the last lap. Because if it went to 0, then there was another lap, I would have run out of fuel.
Fine margins indeed, which is what we like to see looking on, but it's probably certainly stressful inside the car. And we've seen in these races that starting further down the order, obviously yourself in the reverse grid, 11th on the grid this evening. How important is it to make those moves early on, or do you find yourself waiting for the door to open for you? Obviously, with 3 fourth place finishes, you haven't finished outside the top 5 this season. You must be doing something right.
I would say at the first few laps, if you can gain places, it's definitely a lot easier, because if you get stuck behind someone, after a few laps, the leader just pulls away, and you're never going to catch that back up, really. So it's quite important. But obviously, they say you can't win it at turn one, but you can gain quite a few places on the first couple of corners, really.
Well, thank you very much for joining us in the commentary booth, and congratulations on your result this evening.
Thank you.
We'll go over to Matt Richards. Now, Matt, it's on the podium once again. It's another podium in the 𝗦𝗘𝗏, but this time you had to come from 12th on the grid, and there was a few lick the stamp and send it moves towards the end of that one. How was your race this evening?
Most of it was okay. I don't really feel like I should be here, to be honest. I had an unfortunate incident at turn one with Michael O'Brien, which I feel like a bit of an idiot for. I just couldn't get the car stopped, and I aimed to take as much of his side as possible to make sure that I didn't spin him. So it's an odd one. I waited just to make sure that he went ahead, and he was quite far ahead for a few laps. But yeah, it's one of those weird ones. It's a nice position to finish, but there's just a little bit where you don't quite feel like you've earned it. Do you know if that makes sense?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, but not from experience, because I'm nowhere near as fast as you guys. But tonight, obviously, that Hungary circuit leaning itself towards the strengths of the 𝗦𝗃𝗏. Looking forward to next week, Silverstone, the Airfield Flat Out Grand Prix circuit, different beast altogether. What are your thoughts about driving the 𝗦𝗃𝗏 there at the final round of this season?
It's a track that I absolutely love. If the 𝗦𝗃𝗏 is going to be good there, I'm not sure. There's a few places where it'll be pretty decent, mainly the high-speed sections and a lot of the slow-speed corners. But there's quite a lot of sections where you're full throttle for a lot. So I think we could run into some trouble with the limiter. But we'll see how it goes. I'm expecting to start a bit further back than I should be. I don't expect to be starting in the top 15, if I'm totally honest.
Okay, well, we'll see how things go. But congratulations on another podium this evening, Matt, and I look forward to seeing you next time out.
Cheers.
We'll go over to Regan Mitchell, fourth place finisher in the Maserati for Squadra Volante. Regan, it looked like at one point you were going to be claiming a podium in that beast.
Yeah, I really wanted it so bad, but it wasn't to be. The last 4 minutes of each of these races are always really tough, just because the tyres are almost certainly completely gone by that point. But yeah, I wanted it because just want to show how good this car is. No one believes it, but I do.
Well, you've had 3 8th place finishes this season, a 13th coming at Monza, your worst result so far, but clearly your best result this evening at Hungary with fourth. So you must be feeling like you're getting to grips with this car. David and I are banging on in the commentary box about how much of a challenge it is. And at a circuit like the Hungaroring, it must have been a tricky one this evening to get it right.
Yeah, it is a challenge. But actually, on this 4th place finish, I'm really happy with it, because it's not like I got reverse grid pole and hung on to 4th. I worked up to 4th. And that's normally something you can't do in this car. Actually, at a Hungaroring, it's one of its better tracks. And actually, Silverstone will be pretty good as well, I think. So another fun race coming.
Brilliant. I look forward to it, Regan, and thank you very much for joining us in the interview room. Congratulations on your result this evening.
Very much.
We'll go to the final driver who's dropped in to say hello post-race. And unfortunately, it's not going to be the same jubilations that the previous drivers have shared. Aidan Bro, a disappointing result this evening, a disconnect whilst running in the podium places. How are you feeling after that one?
Oh, I tell you what, I'm really gutted. I have to be honest. I think that one would have put me at least somewhat in the championship fight, knowing that I'd be starting a bit further back at Silverstone, and I might have struggled there. But I just wanted another good, strong finish, and try and finish in the top 5 of the championship, where I've kind of been there or thereabouts all season, and that would have helped seal the deal. But that's the first time I've disconnected in a long, long time, and it just came up, lost connection, and I thought, pray to God that it's the whole server rather than just me, just so we could get back in there. But yeah, no, it was just, it's one of them. At the time, I was really like, I was livid, I have to say, with my ISP, but it's one of them. You can't help it. It's like a mechanical failure, I suppose, and that's that really.
Well, you were close to, obviously, you're in a strong podium position. You look like you were maybe set for second, which was the best result 𝗦𝗘𝗡𝗗𝗏 has got around the Hungaroring in these GT4s, courtesy of yours truly. I don't know if I've mentioned that enough times on the stream already, but Aidan, this season, you've got to take some positives away from it. A podium at Monza, a circuit that doesn't lend itself to the 𝗦𝗘𝗏𝗏 at all. Top 5 finishes. You haven't finished outside the top 10. Disappointing result tonight, but you've got to be looking at the positives to some extent.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole season's been, I think the 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗏 has been reasonably strong at most tracks anyway, and Monza being a very surprising result. But yeah, the positives definitely outweigh the negatives. I mean, it's just a one-off. Like I say, you have to treat it a bit like a mechanical failure and just accept it for what it is. But yeah, I think the main thing is turning up every week and having some fun, and I was having fun up until that point. So, and it was really good battling with Aaron at the very beginning. I had a little tap with him in the final corner, and then once he got past the other guys, he just checked out, and there was no catching him. So I think the second place was definitely the best I could have managed tonight, and Tustin was pretty quick as well behind, so he may well have caught up. But fair play to Aaron in the KTM. He just blitzed everyone like he did at Monza again.
Well, you say it's about turning up and having fun. Will that be your attitude for the next time out at Silverstone, or will you be looking to make amends for the result tonight?
It'll be a bit of both, really. I'll try and pluck my way through to as high a finishing position as I can, but obviously doing it without impeding anyone else's race, and knowing I'm kind of out of the hunt, I'll just turn up and have some fun.
Brilliant. Well, commiserations on the result this evening, Aidan, but thank you very much for joining us in the commentary booth.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we'll head back up to David. David, some interesting thoughts.
Well, I mean, it was a contrast of emotions, wasn't it? Of course, you had the jubilation, the happiness of Aaron, albeit slightly disappointed he didn't have a race against some other people, which I completely understand. And like I say, testament to him for keeping his concentration throughout the 45 minutes. But yeah, really, really difficult to listen to Aidan there. It was really disappointing to see, obviously, the way that his race ended up, and yeah, definitely had a chance to fight for potentially even the championship next week. But we'll move on to the next one. I think we've got a fantastic race in store next week, and if this is anything to go by, if you flip this grid on its head, you're going to have some really, really quick guys towards the back end of the top 15 who are going to be trying to force their way through to well, in essence, try and win the championship. So it's going to be all to play for next week, and certainly one that I'm looking forward to.
Well, there's plenty of you in the YouTube chat and indeed watching the streams available. Thank you very much for tuning in this evening. I hope you enjoyed the racing action. Of course, if you did like what you saw tonight and indeed want to stay tuned for the race next week at Silverstone, then please do like and subscribe to the Simsport Racing. And indeed, if you want to get out on track for the next season, maybe, or next whatever championship that tickles your fancy, then please head to the Discord link in the stream description and you could be out there on track. And if you maybe are not a fan of ACC but you want to play some iRacing, we'll be starting the Simsport Racing Mazda MX-5 Cup this coming Friday at Lime Rock Park. Looking forward to this one, and Oulton Park as well, Daytona Moto and Laguna Seca. 4 races, all content that's free, the car's free, the racing will certainly be free, and that's something that we're looking forward to seeing here on Simsport Racing. So again, if you want to get involved and you want to take part in this new iRacing Mazda MX-5 Cup, then head to the Discord link in the description of this video. It will be live streamed as well, so you will have some commentators shouting your name over a live stream. But David, heading into Silverstone then, next time out, it's the finale of season 5. In my opinion, it's going to be the most exciting finale we've had in these GT4s because the championship is all to play for. And this evening, with the result, with Luka Berk benefiting at the end, with O'Brien dropping down due to drive-through penalty, he's going to be towards the front. He's going to have to make some big inroads next week to really just wrestle that championship lead off of Berk, who could be the first driver to defend the GT4 crown. It's going to be a thriller.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's certainly not one you're going to want to miss. I can guarantee you that. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be another 45 minutes of brilliant racing. We've had 5 sets of that already this season. And well, yeah, like you say, it's certainly shaping up to be one of, if not the most exciting finale that we've had here at Simsport Racing. I, for one, like yourself, Tim, cannot wait.
So we'll see you next time. Please do join us for the finale of Simsport Racing Season 5 of GT4s at Silverstone. After a titanic battle this evening down the order, it was Aaron Walker who rose to the top, unchallenged, dominated the 45-minute sprint here at the Hungaroring in Budapest. Thank you very much for watching tonight. From David, myself, Tim Fulbrook, and Steve Proudly, our broadcast director. We hope to see you next time for the final round of the Simsport Racing GT4 Championship. See you then. Goodbye.